Ugh, I don't like the way I said hello. Hello.
Welcome
back to our channel. I'm Kim. Yo. If you haven't already, please subscribe.
And please give us a thumbs up if you like this video and comment down below. This is going to be more of an informative video and not so much exploring Hanoi and like cool editing and all of that. It's just going to be us sitting here in our kitchen telling you about the processes of becoming an ESL teacher. My voice.
Yeah. We also just want to put out a disclaimer that this video is based solely on our experience and processes that we went through with Apax to get our jobs that we have right now.
So once again, this is specific to Apax, and these are the ESL teacher requirements set out by the Vietnamese government. So it includes a university degree, a TEFL or CELTA or other teaching degree, English proficiency at a native level, criminal background check, a health check, which is done by Apax if you're in the north, and a passport from either the USA, Canada, the UK, Ireland, South Africa, Australia, or New Zealand.
Please don't forget that we are talking about our jobs in Vietnam.
This doesn't apply to other schools or other language centers in Vietnam.
You will have to do independent research. It is so important to check reviews, check testimonials, check social media, check their websites, check the people who have written the testimonials. Like, just stalk their social media to see if they're still happy, if they were happy, what they're doing now. That is how Kim and I got through this process. We would just like look at random people. It seems kind of invasive and kind of freaky, but it helps. It really, really does. We used adventure teaching to get our jobs in Vietnam. Adventure teaching is very active on social media. They are always sending out emails. Their staff are extremely helpful, and they were very persistent and determined to get Kim and I jobs. We could also recommend that if you are interested in Apax, you could just email them directly. Apax does have a recruiting team, and they are very helpful with answering questions, and they are also very quick to respond to any questions that you have.
How vital is a criminal background check? Very vital. They obviously don't want criminals working with children, so I'm sorry about that. But if you are coming from South Africa and you're keen to apply, please make sure that this is the first document that you get sorted out, because it takes really long, like somewhere between 4 and 6 weeks to get sorted. So put it on the top of your to-do list.
We can't give you exact amounts because it all depends on how you live and how you want to live here. But there are a few costs you need to consider and prepare for. So it is a visa on arrival for Vietnam. When we arrived, it was $25 for a single entry visa and $50 for a multiple entry visa. Then accommodation for training week. Apax does offer this if you want that support. Transport, SIM card and data, food and drinks, deposit and your first month's rent. We actually had to pay for 3 months rent. Notarizing of your documents. Try and get this done in South Africa, as it does take long. Furnishing your apartment, a work permit, a health check, a residency card or visa runs. Once your 3-month visa expires, you will have to do a visa run.
So when you open up the Apax website, it will give you a choice of teaching in the north or in the south. So if you want to be in Hanoi, you would choose the north, and if you want to be in Ho Chi Minh City or Saigon, you would choose the south. And then it will open up a page that shows you all the provinces and cities or regions and the availability of positions in each of those. Apax has recently opened a few new centers, so I would like to tell you that your chances are high, but it's really up to the recruitment team at the end of the day and where they decide to place you. So this is a follow-up question that is slightly different. When we applied, we were told by Adventure Teaching to be flexible with placement. So when we arrived in Hanoi for training week, we were expecting to pack up our stuff and move to a smaller province, what they call a tier 2 city. But we got good news that they were opening a new center that weekend and we were getting placed in Hanoi. You don't have much control over placement during the application process, but during your interview, you can tell your interviewer which region you prefer and hope for the best. And as I said in the previous question, check the Apax website for availability and go from there.
We should probably also point out that Apax values their teachers a lot. So if you have kind of completed your first 2 months probation period and you've worked for Apax for more than 6 months and you are in a tier 2 city, they give you the opportunity to apply to Hanoi. It is confusing in the beginning, but once you find a good English speaking bank and people who can help you at that bank, the process is kind of seamless, at least in my experience. I very easily just transfer money from my Vietnamese account to my South African account with a small fee. If you do send money, just make sure that you have the correct banking details that you're trying to send money to, and SWIFT codes are also very important. The first time I tried to do it, I gave the bank the wrong SWIFT code and my money was kind of just floating somewhere for a month or so. We should also point out with regards to the first question, because of Vietnamese law, foreigners who do not possess a residency card cannot get bank cards. So most things are also done in cash because of that.
For the TEFL course, it's basically a minimum of 120 hours that you do online, and depending on which course you choose, you might have to do face-to-face classes. There aren't any exams involved. You do a small test at the end of each module, and then you do at least 4 big assignments based on lesson planning. Some courses can take 2 weeks, some can take 4 weeks or longer. It depends on which one you choose, but we recommend going through I2I or the TEFL Academy, or if you want to do it abroad like I did in Barcelona, go through the International TEFL Academy.
Apax did help us with our visas on arrival. We first had to get business invitation letters, and in order to get the business invitation letters, we had to send scans of our passports which showed that we were not in Vietnam at the time. We had to send copies of our degrees and copies of our criminal background checks. If you do apply with Apax, all of these details, which probably does sound very confusing right now, will be explained by Apax. Like I said before, they are so thorough with helping their teachers and sorting out their documents, which is also another great upside to working for them. For South Africans, I would also recommend getting this done very early and putting that at the top of your to-do list, because once all your documents are sorted, they have to be notarized by DIRCO and the Vietnamese embassy.
For the answer to why we chose Vietnam, you can see that in our previous Q&A video. At the moment, our plans for after our contract ends, which is in March next year, we would like to stay in Vietnam for a little bit longer, possibly move to a city on the coast like Da Nang. You can also watch that video. Apax do have centers in Da Nang, but they are obviously the most sought after, and the chances of us getting placed there are very small. So we are planning to teach online in the evenings and spend our days on the beach.
So that brings us to the end of the questions that we did get on social media. If we didn't answer your question, again, we are so sorry. But send us a message, we'll gladly answer them.
If you have friends or family or anyone who is interested in teaching in Vietnam, please send them the link to this video and hopefully it will be informative enough.
Thank you for watching.
Thank
we love you.
See you next week. Bye.